We are live. My phone is pinging. I better turn that off. So I am going to, oops, I'm not sure why that's not working. I want to send out the stream link so that people can join in. Okay, here, I should be able to do this. Sorry, there might be some feedback. Here's the invite. So for anybody that feels called and wants to join in and be on video, the link will be right here in the comments. Okay, perfect. Okay, there you go. So you just copy that little StreamYard link there, and then I can let you in, and we can chat. Eventually, once we get this group going and get a few people joining, and if people want to do a little more personal shares and more vulnerability, we'll do something off of Facebook, and we can have it like a support group and talk about things and vulnerability and all those kind of things. So this is to kind of join together as a group and do what feels right and build a community. Right now, especially, is some of the hardest squishing purges of energy that I felt in the universe in all my times of waking up. I know that people are struggling a little bit, and they don't know what to do, and they want to join in and have people that are going through the same stuff to be able to talk to. And I see it in a bunch of different groups. The beautiful Ali Ray does a heart share group. It's very private group because we talk about really deep, vulnerable stuff, and tears are shed sometimes, frustrations, angers, etc. And I want more of us to be able to find those groups. And I think this is partly the place. I tried to do these groups about a year ago, but not a lot of people were ready. And I now know that this is a time, and we need support, and we're walking a different path. And by the way, if there's any questions, I know there's a few people on. Hello, Roxanne. Thank you. Just put questions in the chat box. I can see them here on StreamYard. It's really handy, and we'll talk about them. But we're walking a different path. We're walking. How to describe it? We used to be sleepwalking. We used to just walk around, do everything per what society told us, etc. And now we're choosing consciously to rise above that. We're choosing to shine a light into a lot of confusion and darkness and unhappiness that's going on in the world. And that can invite a lot of pushback from people. And I'm starting to look at kind of walking in the world as walking around with a bunch of people that are in adult bodies, but due to the trauma, due to the programming, due to the societal conditioning that's going on, they're like anywhere from 2 to like maybe 10 in their emotional awareness, in their ability to have hard conversations, in accountability, etc. And we're being constantly prodded. I honestly believe that as part of the density of what's here, it got to the point where the darkness dictated that you had to have traumas and a bunch of things that it thought would crush you before you can even enter an incarnation as a child. So our genetic lineage of our family and all these pressures of society, religion, culture, government, societal conditioning, all molded us and shaped us into being this person that just kept pleasing society and fed people and made them subservient and not wanting for themselves. And we're growing out of that. We're starting to break that shell. As the quote from Rumi goes, is the crack or the wound is where the light comes in. So we're getting smashed. And I just picture it, and when I close my eyes, we're just caked with mud of societal conditioning that's saying, be this. I want you to be safe under my control and protected and other things. And we're saying, no, no more. That's not working for me. Paying taxes, having inflation, having bills, having rent, all this kind of stuff takes us away from our conscious awareness of self. And we're working really, really, really hard now to start to love ourselves. And you can see it in people. One of the hardest societal conditions that I ever have heard, and this will make some people feel uncomfortable, but the word selfish is so bad and so evil, but it's so inverted. It's actually the opposite of it. We need to become selfish to be able to love ourselves first. So we do not have to be obligated when somebody asks us to move. We do not have to be obligated to make somebody feel better when they feel bad. We do not have to be obligated to go and spend our whole weekend fixing somebody's deck so that they don't have to pay somebody to do it. We're so conditioned to just give and give and give and then never get time to receive. And especially empaths, especially light workers, we're really loving, beautiful people that want the best for the world and want the best for people. And we get stuck, we get struggled, we get confused in trying to please and trying to make happy. And then we forget about ourselves. And I want people to spend a minute. There's mothers and fathers and people that work and stuff like that all out there that are trying to make a good place for their children, to make a good living, to earn enough money to send them to college, to feed them every day, to put a house over their head, to do all these things, and to do all these things which are societally expected of us, and what a mother is and a father is and a dad is and a caregiver is, and we lose track of being those things to ourselves first. And how can we be a good one for our children, for our spouses, our partners, etc., if we don't even know how to do it for ourselves? So we end up in this mangled up world of trying to please and connect and do something to fix somebody else so that we can eventually get time for ourselves. And if you've been around for a while, you start to get to a point where some people call it a midlife crisis. I call it awakening, where you start challenging everything and say, this isn't really working for me. And then start to make choices. Okay, why am I doing that? Why do I spend every weekend? Why am I so exhausted? Why do I not have conscious awareness of what I'm doing? We are living from our subconscious because we're so exhausted. It's like, I know lots of people, they get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and get the breakfast ready and pack a lunch and get the kids to school and then drive to a job and then serve people from 9 to 5 all day long. And it's like a nightmare. And there's so many things. And you bring it home as you're driving home and your consciousness is messed up and you're trying to make supper and you're trying to get everybody fed and you're trying to do the chores and fix things around the house. And then what happens? It's 10 o'clock at night and maybe you sit down for half an hour and you're just so exhausted. You watch some TV or a movie or whatever. No judgment of any of this, but where was that time to think about who I am? Think about, is this real or unreal? Is this something I want or don't want? And if we get that opportunity to slow down, some people call it like meditation, where you just sit and you consciously choose. And sometimes it can be the hardest thing in the world to sit and meditate and get quiet, because there's this monkey going around a million miles a minute, or a hamster, saying all these things. Oh, you got to get this done. You got to get that done. I've been doing this for a long time and it still happens. It's not a bad thing, but I've got to the point where at least I can consciously choose and just get calm, ground, and then I can watch them like clouds going through my head. But when we're trying to please and satisfy and what we want doesn't matter, it gets really hard to not honor that thing that's pulling at us. So I'm just suggesting that you sit with that once in a while and say, okay, well, why am I doing that? Why do I chase that? A secret I found as an empath is, how many people do you feel sorry for right now? Or you feel bad for them? You just want their life to be better. Oh, they're running out of money. Oh, their kids are sick, or whatever. And I want you to close your eyes for a second. And I just want you to imagine when you're feeling that, just imagine what happens to your energy. And at least for me, I can't speak to all of you, but I see a little like 1/3 part of Paul go over as an energy and put my hands on their shoulder, and I'm trying to protect them. And maybe my physical is doing things too, driving them over supper or trying to do their laundry for them or whatever because somebody's sick or whatever. But imagine that the third of you is sitting there and it's going there. You're going to get through this. This is a clue because that energy, unless you consciously call it back, sits with that person. Now, here's going to be the really interesting part. How many times have you done that for a person, or you've been doing it for years, and that person resents you? No matter how good you've been to them, they resent you. They are angry at you, and you can't figure out why. You've done nothing but good things to them, but they resent you. It happens to me a lot in my past. So I'm going to tell you a secret. So imagine that they're a soul just like you, and then they came here to have this experience, and they have something that's in their contracts, in their rules to get decided. Like, okay, I got to hit bottom. I got to have a child die. I got to have all these things that maybe this thing that's creating this dark night of the soul for them. And it was meant to teach them something. And they're struggling at their best, and they needed to actually hit bottom to be able to learn it. Well, how would you feel if your neighbor kept coming over and sitting in your living room with you while you're trying to have a dark night and you're feeling really uncomfortable and you can't really go and really hit bottom and be your worst or hit and be ugly because they're sitting there massaging your shoulders all day long? Well, that's essentially what we're doing with our energy when we're feeling bad for someone or we're feeling sorry for them or these kind of things. You will find out that you didn't consciously ask if you could give them that energy. They didn't consciously accept. And even if they did accept, they didn't know how it was affecting them. So I'm learning through finding all these people that resented me and other things to step back my energy. And instead of having sympathy for them, which is kind of being there and helping and trying to make it easier for them, to have compassion for them. And instead that turns into witnessing, maybe having a conversation a couple times a week and just see if you need some support or whatever, but consciously pulling my energy back, pull that 1/3 back. I'll tell you a story. I'm not even sure my brother knows this story, but I learned this one day. I was sitting meditating and my brother phoned me and he told me about his day and how hard it was and what was going on in his life. And we had a nice conversation. And then I hung up the phone and I went back to meditating, and I'm like, what's my brother doing here? He was in the energy. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I could feel his energy asking for some of this help. He wasn't up to the point of resenting me, but I could feel this real clarity that he needed to figure this out on his own. He needed to, he'd had some stuff go on in his life that kind of crashed everything. His business got all screwed up and other things. And I felt bad for him. I felt sorry for him. That was back when I didn't know this stuff. So I sat in that meditation. I called and we just kind of went knee to knee energetically. And I said, hey, man, you got this. I know you can do this. I'm going to step away and I'm going to let you see if you can figure this out for yourself. And we stepped away and I sat there and it was just beautiful. And I just left it at that. Well, the next day I happened to be meditating again and my brother phoned up in the middle of the meditation, which is really kind of weird because we didn't talk that often. And he all of a sudden said, he says, I don't know what happened, Paul, but after we talked yesterday, something just opened wide and everything changed. I feel like I can handle everything. I can deal with it. I feel amazing and free. And I was like, he jaw bounced off the table a couple of times. And I sat with the energy afterwards and I'm like, holy crap. He didn't need my help. We all are parts of God. We all are amazing. We all are hugely capable. But by letting him go, it improved our relationship. It made him feel independent and on his own. And he did get through all this stuff without any exhaustion from me because I'm putting out all this energy and trying to call him all the time and check in on things, I set him free. So I just want you to look at the people that you're trying to help, and maybe they're resenting you and other things. And maybe you just need to consciously step back. And you're going to be surprised, because by supporting people in their self-empowerment, you're like teaching a man to fish. I can get through this without having to have a handhold. I can get through this. So a lot of the stuff that's going on with people right now, we've had to give up family and friends, and people are hating us, etc. But I'm going to tell you right now, set them free. Set them free so they can find their own path. And if you're constantly in there and the energy is really intense and it's forcing them to deal with their shit and all this kind of stuff, they're going to resist. But if they have no resistance and they can hit bottom and bounce off, and how many times have you had to hit the floor hard and bounce and have a bloody nose and all this kind of stuff before you've realized a lesson? But that's the honoring of people that we need. And can you imagine how much not being selfish is putting our energy out there, tapping us of all of our reserves and exhausting us? For people that in a lot of ways didn't even want it, or they've just come to expect it and they don't even honor it, or other things. So being in our own power, being conscious of where our energy is going and how we're tapping into people's experience. Another thing that you'll learn as we go through this, we love, instead of having to go through something messy. I learned this through my divorce. I saw all these women that were inserting themselves and giving suggestions to my wife around what I was going to do. I was going to steal all the money from the bank account. I was going to do all these things. They lived vicariously. So they got an experience by seeding stuff into my ex's head to try and test, so that if they had that experience, how that would turn out. And I was getting attacked with all these energies that weren't even my wife's, and it was so crazy. But by living vicariously through other people, we broaden our experience. But often it's really messed up, because really there's no purity in like leeching on to someone else's experience or feeding your bad energy into something that's already bad to make it even worse. So this is another thing that we got to do. We got to learn to be the observer. And the observer is basically a place. And by the way, there's a few people in the room. If there anybody wants to come in and talk or have some questions, the link to the StreamYard is in the comments, the very first one. Just cut and paste that and make sure you got a video or a camera and microphone, and you can come on and we can have you on live. That this living vicariously, this not being consciously aware of where your energy is going, can really mess things up, because if you're not consciously aware of what all the parts of you, where they are, you become fragmented. It's like, I'm helping Sally, I'm helping mom, I'm helping dad, I'm helping John, I'm helping people at work, I'm helping the people in the building, or whatever, and you become scattered and you're not in integrity. Now, integrity has multiple meanings, but the one is energetic integrity. So it's like, how can I be in my full power as a spiritual being if all my energy is out giving to other people and I'm not receiving any back? And over time, the universe is going to help you a lot, and it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, a little painful, and it's going to squash you, and it's going to take your friends away, and it's going to make you see some realities that aren't comfortable, until you get to the point maybe that you're going to be alone for a while. And it's okay. That alone time is finally like, fuck, I'm taking all my energy back, and no, Sally's not sucking from me now, and she's not asking for help and sympathy on the phone all the time, and John's not doing this, and Erica's not doing that. The minute you have less and less pulls, you start to find this sovereignty and this integrity. And integrity of your light body, of your being, of your soul, is so important to ascension. Because guess what? When you're feeling Sally, or like my brother Rob, for example, who's feeling a lot of sorrow and anger and frustration, guess what? How many times throughout the course of a day do emotions show up in your body or in your cognizant awareness that aren't yours? Or they feel like, ooh, this is weird, or this must be collective stuff or whatever. Well, if you're hanging on to somebody else and worrying about them and feeling bad for them and all this kind of stuff, that 1/3 of your energy that's with them is also pulling and siphoning in all their bad moods. They're feeling yours, you're feeling theirs. Can you imagine how confusing that would be to understand who you are or to understand who you are as a being? So people that are really empathic, how many times have you sat down beside somebody in a booth or in a theater or a restaurant or whatever, and it's just like you're sitting down into this dark cloud? You're feeling somebody's aura and their energy from next door, right behind you, whatever. Sometimes I literally have to move seats. Like if somebody will sit down behind me, sometimes they consciously want to do this because they want to feel that good energy. But it's just like, this is dirty. This makes me feel uncomfortable. That's how big our energy field is. This is how much an energetic being are. We can imagine this is the two auras of the people, and you sit down right back to back each other. Guess what? You're all of a sudden feeling this stuff, and it's like emotions, and this is dark or heavy or whatever. You're going to start becoming cognizant of these things, consciously aware. And this is our energy bodies interacting with other people. And just also think, here's a good one. So if you've ever been married before, do you remember those times when you completed each other's sentences? This is an energetic body interaction. Guess what? You're sleeping together and your auras are right beside each other 20, well, how many hours do you sleep? 8, 10 hours a night. And eventually you get in sync. You've heard of women when they go to basic training or whatever, all the women synchronize their moon cycles. Same thing. The energetic vibration starts to line up and everybody influences everybody. So this is conscious awareness that there's lots of energetic interaction going on every day. So if you start to be consciously aware of how your energy is interacting with other people, that's when you're not even like going out and helping a person. You're just walking in the same room. How many times have you went to go into a conference room or go into a room and you know there's something crazy going on inside, like the energy just feels off and you haven't even walked in the door? Well, parts of us and our energy are constantly putting these little feelers out. We have this thing in shamanism called a 1 point, and it's got these little fibers that go out and they test situations. They also could be really nasty. They can put little arrows on them and hooks on them. You know, when you look at somebody in the eye and you go, and you just like shooting them with an arrow. Well, that little fiber is going out and it's going and punctuating your point because you have this ability, but we're just not consciously aware of it. We're just doing it and interacting in it from emotion, from past experience, etc. So once we start to become aware, this is what the awakening journey is. Becoming aware of your energy, becoming aware of how you interact with the energy of the world, how you become aware of the subconscious beliefs, what was programmed in from your parents, what was programmed in at childhood. Did you know, here's really interesting, it's going to surprise most people, but up until the age of 8, a human being, a child, basically is a siphon. It just basically pulls everything in from its parents and it has to automatically accept it. There's no testing or whatever until like 7 or 8. It just takes it as truth. So it just goes into our programming and it's like, guess what? You get something like money doesn't grow on trees, or you don't deserve a bite because you've been bad, or you don't deserve, or whatever. These things come in without our parents' conscious awareness that they're doing it, and they go in and they become a subconscious belief in us. And then we're as adults and we're now having to look at all our programming and all the stuff that's underneath and the stuff that's in our heart, and we're going to healers and dealing with stuff, and we're finding out all these programs that are in there that you didn't even know you'd agreed to. And you're like, as an adult, and you're struggling for money and struggling for all these things. Well, a lot of times we got to go back and say, get rid of that. Money doesn't grow on trees. It gets even more complicated because we can have past lives where maybe we were a priest or a nun or whatever, and we made vows of poverty or vows of celibacy. And how do you think those interact? And how does that make our love life work? And how does that allow our abundance to come in? Well, cut it off. So you go through these waves where you're having to test all these things and see them inside, because we're a truly energetic being. This human representation is an avatar representing an energy that's infinite. And if you go up the chain, there's infinite number of fractals of God that have agreed to come in and have experiences as a human being in the darkness, in the light, in the craziness, and with all these programming. And we're becoming consciously aware that we're part of this source, this part of God, this part of everything. And this makeup, this color of my skin, how my hair is, losing hair, do I have a beard or whatever, these are all part of the self-definition. It's like, hey, I like how it looks with a beard, and I've seen it on TV, and Tony Stark or whatever his name is, oh yeah, he was sexy or whatever, so a lot of men wear goatees or whatever. I'm not saying that's my motivation, but we'll take this stuff that's unconscious in our society and say, hey, that looks like a sexy man, and I want to be a sexy man from that. So we'll do things to our body. We'll get nipple piercings, or we'll shave our head, or we'll shave our eyebrows, or get earrings, or all these things. These are all part of a definition of ourselves and a painting, literally, of an avatar that we do through all our conscious exploration of the world. So a dominant man, maybe he wears a shirt with the sleeves cut off or whatever. A dominant man might wear a motorcycle jacket and some cowboy boots or whatever. Or a beautiful woman will have blonde hair and really bright red lipstick and some eyeshadow and long eyelashes. These are all things that are influenced by our society, and then we get a choice to say, okay, that looks beautiful, and I really like how that looks, or I want to be like her, or I want to be like him. And we're choosing all these things, but we're not even consciously aware of it, because it's TV and programs and how the movie was, and I really want to have this princess experience or king experience that I saw in the movie. And then we're trying to alter ourselves and twist ourselves, and then we find out after a while we're kind of like bent up, and we can't figure out, our whole nervous system and our fascia that's in our body is all tight, trying to be something that doesn't work, so we can just get that relationship, or our twin flame can come, or some money can come, and I can have a yacht and a big house or whatever. And we end up contorting ourselves, and it doesn't work. We actually look more and more fake and more hollow. How many people do you know that do all that makeup thing, or put the beard on and it just doesn't suit them, or it makes their energy feel kind of crazy? Well, that's how we kind of pervert ourselves into something that we're not happy with. And that's where the self-love comes back in again, right? So it's like, wash off all this mud. And like I said, the Rumi quote, the wound is where the light gets in. So imagine a big crack that happens across your chest, and all of a sudden light shining in. Well, what's on you that's causing all this stuff? Well, all that self-definition, all those beliefs, all the programming from society and our religion and our church and all this kind of stuff basically gets in there, and it mangles us up. So it's literally like mud. I just look at it as like, okay, each time I put that story on, I put a cake of muck on my body, and it's like, oh, I got to protect my heart because my relationships didn't work out, or my mom said this, or my dad said that, or my brother or sister or my spouse said all these things. We just agree, and we cake it on until we're like those terracotta statues that are in ancient China. These looks like a soldier, and they carved it all out, and it's just a hollow clay, whatever you want to call it. We're doing that each and every day. So where are you doing that? Where's that happening? How are you kind of making yourself small? Where do you curl up in a ball and just don't want to participate because those people were angry at me last time, or they didn't believe me, or they called me a name, or whatever? It's magic to start to self-explore, to do self-realization, start to understand why. And I really don't like the term understand, but you have to become aware of whys. Some people use the term understand. It feels a little glitchy to me or whatever, but conscious awareness is what we're doing through all of this. So I've listed some of the big ones. I don't want to make this too much of an information force down your throat fest or whatever. I'm just consciously putting it out there so that you can assess, Am I doing that? Is this why this is happening? Is this caking me with muck? Is this taking my power away? Am I giving my power away? And as we start to become aware, we start to come back and we realize we're in our heart. So just a couple last things to try in these next couple days. We'll try and do another one next week. But I want everybody to take their hands and just put them on their heart like this. You can do one on top of the other, whatever, but just realize that your hands are really powerful. They have these little chakras right in the palms of them, and they allow us to heal people. They allow us to read energy. They allow us to do some really amazing things, but we forget that we can do them to ourselves first. So just sit here and just feel love. Just imagine that you're love and you're pushing love into your heart. And I want this to be your steady state. When you get into a place where you're really confused and your reality's falling apart and all that muck is falling off and it's just like an avalanche and your eyes are full of dirt and you don't know what to do, just go here and just feel what's going on in your body. And from your heart, it's a lot easier. If you do it from your head, it's got a whole bunch of, oh, I got sciatica, I got this, I got that in my hip, and I got that. No, just go there and just start to ask questions. Okay, where am I giving my energy away? Okay, yeah, I'm speaking right here. I'm giving energy away to my neighbors upstairs. They're noisy sometimes. Where else am I giving energy away? I give energy away to my kids. I give energy away to my mom sometimes. I'm still trying to please. Just sit there. And don't have to solve world hunger today. Just, okay, well, maybe I'm ready to pull that energy back. Okay, pull that energy back from upstairs. Pull it back from my mom. Pull it back from my kids. Just see how it feels. And then see how your energy feels different. Okay, I'm not feeling my mom's energy. I'm not feeling that frustrated energy anymore. And it's just like, okay. But things that poke us, things that make us feel uncomfortable and unhappy, and people cut us off in traffic. Can you imagine how much energy goes to the other person when you're swearing at them and pissed off? So just consciously aware, pull it all back. And then just once it's pulled all back, just say, I choose to be a sovereign being. So sovereign being means that this is your kingdom. This is your castle. This is where you can be king or queen or whatever you want to be. And just say, I'm a sovereign being. You're going to feel it. I feel it. It's like my energy field just gets tight and shiny, and it's beautiful. I am worthy of receiving. Say that out loud. Because often we're giving so much, but just say, I'm worthy of receiving. I have a worth in living my life and who I am. Just lots of deep breaths while we're doing this. You're going to feel energy going through and maybe some crunchiness in your back. And keep your feet on the floor if you can. If you're not, just imagine these roots coming out and going into the earth. And just sit here and just see yourself shining. Let all those other people fall away. Just imagine you're on a stage, on the highest stage you've ever been, and just look at it and say, oh, who the frick is this? I am freaking amazing. I am powerful. I am love. And just feel that. And let that wave go out to all the people in the world. And guess what? You're not giving from an empty cup or a partially filled cup. You're now giving from your full conscious sovereign being. And it's this light that doesn't deplete you. It just gives an example to others so that they can find this same courage. It's a vibration that goes out, but it's not at your loss. It's not from you giving. It's from you loving yourself. And that light comes out without any having to separate yourself or shift things. And just feel that. Feel that in your heart. And just let it come out as a wave. Can you imagine? It's just like this little beautiful, like a raindrop that hits the ground. And if you've ever seen a really big raindrop hit the ground, it goes out and it just like shatters into a million tiny raindrops. Just let those raindrops go out, and it's nourishing you and it's filling you and it's washing all that mud off. And just feel that in your body. Now I want us to start to anchor this feeling, this yummy feeling, this like, oh wow, I'm worthy of amazingness and all this stuff. Just anchor it inside. Just say, this is my steady state. This is my normal now. And it'll take time. It may go and come and whatever, but I want you to sit with that. So Just sit and take a couple deep breaths. Let it out with some sound. Now I want you to just open your eyes quietly and calmly. I want to give yourself a big smile. And as soon as you're done, I want you to go to the mirror and give yourself a big smile. And just sit with some of these things. Sit quietly if you can. If not, the information will come up when it needs to, but it's an energetic transmission. It's a gift from me to you, from the universe, from your source, your higher self, all just giving to you information that you would have found out eventually anyways, but you're just getting it a little faster because you came on this live and you made a choice for yourself and you spent some time. And just sit and feel things soften, feel things open. We didn't go too deep, but we shared a lot of information. But just sit with it. What you need is within. And I let it pass through me from your higher self, through me to you, giving you exactly what you need right now. Just feel that in your heart and in your body. It has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me interpreting or whatever. It just comes through me as a hollow conduit to anybody that listens here. And your highest healing, your highest good is now yours right now. I bequeath it to you. So have a great day. I love you, love you, love you very much. You are a special being on this planet. And if it's hard, come back with questions. Put some statements out there. Private message me. We'll get through this. I love you all. Have a great day. Thank you for shining. See you all soon. I gotta go over here and press the button. See you later. Bye.